Hello, welcome back. This is Natural Freedom League. I am John Wydogan here with my co-host, Will Keller. What's up, Will?
What's up, brother? How's everyone doing tonight? Excited?
Yeah, we're real excited. We've got some special guests here from thewizardfactory.com. We have Logan Hart and Brian Easterday.
How's it going? Nice to be here.
Pleasure. Right on.
Yeah, so right off the bat, I mean, the reason why I wanted to have you guys here is because of the great conjunction coming up. And, I've been hearing little things about it, and I'm not really too well versed in astrology. I am fascinated by it and definitely interested in it and wanting to learn more. So thought it'd be cool to have some people on who study this and can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us on. Astrology is definitely my passion, and it's something that I think is one of the most useful sciences just for observing and studying cosmic law or natural law.
And right off the gate, sorry. I was going to say right out of the gate, I'll just go ahead and say I don't claim to be an expert in astrology. I'm very interested in it, and I know by osmosis I'm going to eventually pick up lots of things and probably be able to give consultations myself just by being, working with Brian. But at this point, I can have opinions on it, but I don't study it, and I'm not claiming to be an expert on it. So
yeah,
me too.
That's how I feel. So right off the bat, why don't you guys give us a little breakdown on how the Wizard Factory came to be, maybe a little bit of your mission statement and what you guys got going on.
Right. Yeah. So I was a truck driver, and Brian was living in Kansas, in the plains of Kansas, and somehow we crossed paths on Facebook and became friends. He offered me a free astrology consult because he wanted to pick my brain secretly. And I was thinking, oh, cool, free consultation. I'll take it. We hit it off from there. And then at some point, I kind of just got hit with this idea to create some kind of natural law presentation in my own style, in my own words, and then I shared it with a few of my closest friends, Brian being one of them. And that just sort of sparked this conversation that evolved into really this idea of hosting retreats that are spiritually focused with the foundation in natural law and like runes and all this cool different elements. That's very much what the Wizard Factory brand is about. But that sort of evolved from that idea to us just starting to make content in the form of a podcast, making a website, and then eventually courses and other things that we'll get into later. But that's the gist of it. And yeah, Brian, if you want to talk to him about our mission statement.
Yeah, absolutely. For us, really just as our tagline really says, it's to empower, inspire, and encourage others. One of our main goals really is getting people into what we refer to as the warrior mindset and out of the victim mindset. Bringing all the awareness back within versus just looking at all the symptoms that are without, because that's ultimately where our change and our empowerment comes from, is within. So, and again, bring in that empowered mindset, like in all areas of our life. That's really like why we have the kind of pagan or the animistic approach, because you can use everything there as like an archetype. As well as we've talked about on the show, we see a lot of the control that our system currently has now. It stems from certain belief systems, and things like that. But so getting in touch with belief systems that are ancestral belief system, or belief systems that have a unbroken connection into prehistory, and then being able to pull that wisdom and then take that integrate it and then take it forward in its development. in the modern world.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Did you want to say something, Will?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that, yeah, that's great. That's, you know, I've been watching you guys and following your work from pretty much day one. And I love how you guys have that foundation in natural law and the, you know, the universal sciences, and also that ancestral connection that you can sprinkle on top of it. And it really, you guys offer causal solutions to a lot of issues that people can relate to. And it's been really helpful on my journey, and I highly recommend, you know, anybody going to check you out and check out the services. It's phenomenal stuff.
Appreciate that very much, man.
Yeah, and Will recommended it to me, and I've just started checking it out. But I really like the idea of giving people a practice, an actual practice that helps them to develop spiritually. I found that a few years ago with Buddhism, and I've kind of had that motivation too of wanting to like show people just simple meditation techniques and things like that. But I definitely appreciate where you guys are coming from in terms of with the runes, and I guess that would be considered Norse.
Yes.
Norse, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I feel that we have an interesting approach in that the irony of having this platform that's based on natural law, which is somehow this niche market, even though it's the universal principles that govern all things, and literally everybody should be aware and be studying into this to know themselves and how the world works. But yet we are approaching it from this very sub niche, you know, world that this is not mainstream knowledge. And in that, the universal kind of cosmic truths, we're sort of connecting a lot of these other communities, such as the anarchist strictly community, or the new age, or the pagan, or, you know, the natural law communities. And we're kind of really trying to bridge all of those and say truth is singular, it's universal, you know, it's syncretic, it lines up, and you can kind of overlay all the stencils together and see that the truth will line up, and otherwise, you know, it's not useful if it's not true. So
yeah,
that's
you know,
kind of
like,
where we're coming from.
yeah, like when I hear, I've heard of the runes before, but when I hear you guys talking about it, I kind of connect it to the Yi Jing, where they have the hexagrams and all the different, you know, they all represent something. And so it's like that, that's in all ethnicities, all, you know, all groups have something like that. And there is some common bond amongst it all. So to give people like one practice to learn and focus on, and then, you know, you can evolve from that, add other things, look into other things. So yeah, I like the way that's, to me, that's really helping people not just understand natural law, but you have to be in a certain mindset to understand natural law, you know?
And another fundamental concept that we talk about is this idea of sort of modern paganism. And what we mean by that is the truths that we build our mindset and our lives and our decision making system are timeless and universal. They you know, they're eternal. And so the knowledge is ancient, but we're still living in today's age. So we're wizards that use computers instead of like reading books by candlelight. We're searching blogs, but it's all the same thing. And that's kind of, you know, again, very central to like, we can tap into the runes. They've been around for so long, but then the runes have only been studied in this time now, right? Like, we're the modern practitioners, and we can apply these concepts to the modern day world in a different way that's never been done before. And anybody can.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And, you know, what's cool about, you know, just natural law, the science of natural law in general, it's at the core essence of, you know, all four corners of the world since you know, pretty much the beginning. Doesn't matter what tradition you dive into, at the core of it, you're going to find the science of natural law. So I personally resonate with the Norse tradition, but that can be applied. The techniques, the tools, the psychology, the science can be applied to any tradition. So it's phenomenal.
Yeah, that is the beautiful thing about it, is that you can take it, and each tradition will have its own insights. For example, on a recent interview we did with Michael William Denny, the Thunder Wizard, we had talked about the concept of like what we call the unconscious feedback loop that we discovered in the Aish Homer, which you see behind me, as well as tying that in with the concept of that was built off the concept of a ghost door in the Bagua in the Taoist tradition. And then Michael happened to notice that it formed that could also explain a certain yoga, which is yogas are certain combinations of planets within a specific axis in Vedic astrology that will have a certain effect, in short. But there's a connection of it's explaining the same kind of concept, but through three different traditions.
Right.
And it all works the same. So like you were saying, Will, it's the science of natural law, of cosmic law. It's something that you can discover no matter where you are and start working with it. But the beauty of it is that you can always work with it in your own way, which is like one of the big things with, paganism or animism that we really like about it, is that it is a very individualistic practice, that there's no book or commandment telling you what to do. It's what works for you, because ultimately what you're working with is your own consciousness.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's get into what is astrology and what are its benefits.
Yes, so big question. In short, I think one of the best ways to look at astrology is it's one of the most useful sciences for the study of cosmic law. You can observe every single principle in there in many different ways. In fact, I'm developing a course to start teaching Vedic astrology. And one of my introductory sections in there is how we observe cosmic law in astrology, and that's why it is the study of it. But it's also a very useful tool for being able to learn to know and, in my experience, love oneself in a very intimate way, and as well as being able to extend that respect to others. Like when I go to study someone's chart, I see that as an act of respect. I'm taking the time to look at them again. So etymologically speaking, that's an act of respect. You're trying to find a way to understand them on a deeper level. So you see them in this very intimate way. You're seeing their karmas, their potential strengths, their potential weaknesses. And for me, it has really let me learn to accept people just for who they are. Oh, they might have a certain trait or a quality, but then I can see where that's happening in a chart. I can kind of just laugh at it a little bit, or instead of like something to remember, like, oh, this person just has this disposition. That's just what the type of energy they chose to work with. There was a certain lesson that they as a soul were seeking to experience, and that's not for like me as a person to judge. Like as an astrologer, I'm just there to like show what is there and explain it in the most useful way I possibly can. And those karmas, those lessons, those are theirs to experience. So to me, it's just one of the most sacred sciences out there. It's such a beautiful practice, and it is much deeper than what most people in the West have a general understanding of. Most people think it's you just have like a sun sign, or they see that, oh, you're born in this day, and then you go to a horoscope in the paper and it says this. That is not astrology. And because what you're doing is you're studying the law of correspondence as an example. You're looking at the macrocosm and the astronomical positions of the planets and the bodies in the sky. in relation to us on Earth. And then, you're then using that as a way of studying internally what's going on. So as above, so below, as within, so without. So, you can really see, just as one example, that is how astrology is the study of cosmic law.
That's awesome. What's cool, I mean, that I think that astrology, it has so many characteristics and qualities that you can find within the individual, within your own personality, your own consciousness, and even on a macro level, would you say?
Yes.
You're able to almost read patterns that are going on. So
Within the
I
collective consciousness. Yeah, absolutely. It
Yeah.
applies to the individual. I can use it in romantic relationships, business partnerships, family dynamics. You can use it as a parent. I mean, astrology can apply to any area of your life, because it's the study of everything.
Yeah,
There's no area it doesn't include.
that's awesome. Right on. So what is the difference between Vedic and Western astrology?
Hold on one second. I think, were you trying to
I
say
was
something? I
muted.
think you were
Yeah,
muted by
Oh,
accident.
sorry.
I
Go for it,
realized that
Logan.
just as he was changing the subject, I was like, no.
Go for it.
I was
Dive in.
just going to say it's like a roadmap to the human experience. So that's why, there's nothing you can't experience as a human being that someone hasn't done in some kind of way, shape, or fashion. Again, with what I was just talking about, the technology and the culture and that stuff changes, but these truths and the fundamentals of consciousness interacting with the universe and cycling up and through is as old as time itself. And so, like, you know smart people very long time ago basically said, there are these patterns that keep recurring. Let's start writing this shit down. And it just created, like, think about just looking at the interior dome of like a big cathedral, and the entire divine experience is all there, just in different, it's like casting different shadows on a wall. I mean, that's really kind of what this is all sort of like, Plato's cave in a way.
I like that you said that, because ultimately what we are observing with astrology is we're literally observing like the map in the mind of the all. So if we understand the first Hermetic principle, that everything, this is something I'm going to get really in depth into in my course, but just as a quick kind of bit here, if we're all part of the mind of the all, so then you can see that, like, each one of us is a fractal mind of the all, but that same thing happens when you look at galaxies and solar systems and planets and constellations. Those are all just thought patterns, certain energetic tendencies in the mind of the all. Just like in our mind, we have different thoughts, that some of them are more benevolent, some of them may be a little bit more malefic, some are a little bit lighter, some are darker. That all exists within our mind. Well, the same thing happens within the all. So when we see something like a solar system, that is a certain thought pattern within the mind of the all that just has more energy attached to it. It's more solidified. And then within that, you have planets, which then, they're a more solidified form of that thought. And then it keeps fractaling down to us. And that's why there's reflection. That's why all of us, born on this planet, the astrological symbols and energies that we're working with, they're all the same, just in a different way. They're just in different combinations, but we're all working with the same planets, the same zodiac, the same nakshatras, so on and so forth. So we're just as individuals, just smaller little fractals in the mind of the all, but each one of those going up is a reflection. So when we're observing this pattern, you're observing when you're seeing the planets and everything move, you're observing the pattern of consciousness and thought pattern in the mind of the all. And then that's how you can reflect down to yourself as an individual, because you're part of that. But it also applies to the macrocosm, to society, and to everyone else, in the world, because we're all just the smaller fractals of what's going on there.
As above, so below.
Hashtag.
Hashtag, yeah.
So,
Nice. So yeah, so on to the next question. So what is the difference between Vedic and Western astrology?
yeah, so that is another big question. So I'll try to keep it briefer.
Yeah, that's cool.
In short, they use two different calculations for the zodiac. The Western system is based off of the tropical system, and the Vedic is the sidereal system. The tropical system is based off of what is known as the vernal equinox, and it starts Aries like at exactly like the same 0 degrees, at the same time every year, and then it counts, 30 degrees for every sign. So you have 360 degrees in the zodiac. There's 12 signs, so each of them there covers 30 degrees, right? So they move it from that fixed point. In the Vedic system, we use the sidereal zodiac, which is the sky as it actually is. And the reason that is because we factor in what is known as the precession of the equinox, which is the wobble of the earth as we spin around in space. We're moving, so that shifts about 1 degree every 72 years. So in the Vedic system, we keep up with that with certain calculations. So if you are standing on Earth and you look up at the sky and you see, for example, like right now with the Great Conjunction, we see Saturn and Jupiter in Capricorn. Because if you look at the sky, that's where it actually is. It's not in Aquarius, which is where the Western system would calculate it to, because they're not factoring in that precession of the equinox. So that's a big reason I personally practice the Vedic system, is because it's the sky as it actually is. So like at the moment of your birth, if you look up wherever those planets, wherever those signs are, like that is where your chart is. Because we have to remember with astrology, it's first and foremost based off of astronomy. So for me that's a big thing.
Yeah.
The Vedic system, we also have just a lot more depth with the different tools that we have to offer. First off, we also look at lunar constellations, which are constellations that the moon passes through as it moves along its ecliptic, where the tropical system, the 12 signs that everybody's familiar with in the zodiac, that's the solar ecliptic. So those are constellations that the sun passes through on its ecliptic. And then, whenever we're having an eclipse like we had today, that's where the sun and the moon, they're coming into where those two ecliptics cross paths. And that's why we see that the eclipse happening. So, and you'll get the solar, the lunar eclipse, depending on which side of Earth that's happening on. So we look at these 27 nakshatras, which are the lunar constellations. So that really fine tunes things, because for example, every Aries, there's actually 2.5 nakshatras in Aries. So a person, for example, being born like with a moon in Ashwini is going to be a little bit different than a person with like a moon born in like the Bharini nakshatra, even though they're both moon in Aries. So it just shows you the subtle adjustments, as well as we have divisional charts for any area, from like marriage to career to children to on and on and on. There's yogas, there's concepts like the Aruda Lagna, which is how you should present yourself in the world. I could go on for a really long time on why I personally practice Vedic astrology. But we have, and as well as the tradition of the mythology, because that's just as much a part of Vedic astrology is understanding the mythology behind it, because that's where you're getting the essence of those things. For example, like with the nodes of Rahu and Ketu, understanding the story behind how they became Rahu and Ketu, the north node and the south node of the moon, helps you understand the different energetic dispositions of those nodes. And that's an extremely important thing to be able to understand in our chart. So it's a very rich tradition. You know, and you know, like I said, there's just so much more to dive into. I found in my experience, and personally, just in comparing like my charts between the two different systems, I found that the Vedic just brings more depth out.
So the Western system is poo-poo. That's what.
Well,
No.
Yeah.
it's not that I would say that, but it does every 72 years it is going to move another degree off. Right now it's currently 24 degrees off. So in about 12,000 years it's going to be completely opposite. And
It
then
gets
eventually
less accurate.
and then about
For sure.
26,000 years, you know, or 24,000 years roughly, it'll come back to being accurate again for a while.
Well, you know what they say, even
So-
a broken zodiac's right twice a millennium.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just that, you know, and it shows, it will show things, it just shows them in a slightly different way.
Yeah.
And then, you know, to me, there's just not as many layers and things, you know, for example, in the Vedic system, if I see something, you know, I have tools like mantra or ritual that I can design to give to people to actually help them with things. You know, so it's not just you're looking at this and then you're stuck with it. It gives you ways to work with it. And it's just, you know, for me, it's the system that like I really enjoy. And there's a lot of very talented Western astrologers that they're amazing at what they do. So I'm not like shitting on that system or anything like that. But just for the reasons of why I practice it, you know, like like I said, the sidereal zodiac is the actual zodiac. And then, you know, I see there's a lot more depth and tools that I have access to in the Vedic system that for me, when I discovered it, I became so passionate about it. It just drew me in, and there's always more to discover with it.
And
So-
it's
There's
infectious when you
nothing
talk
wrong.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong
sure.
with depth and detail and accuracy, right? It
Mhm.
seems like that would
Yes.
be the natural way, right? You would look up
Yes.
and
Exactly.
read it how it is, how it's there,
Mhm.
right.
It's like Lord of the Rings.
now.
Do you want to watch the movie or do you want to read the book with the
Mhm.
the notes and all that?
Right. Right.
Got it.
How does the two different schools affect what age we're in, or are they the same?
So this I'm glad if you're referring to like the age of Aquarius or like with Kali Yuga, what people are referring to, and I'm glad you brought that up. So I think this is something where a lot of people are a little bit confused because they'll try to take Western placements and Western astrology of the tropical system and apply it to the concept of Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga comes from the Hindu or the Vedic system. It was said to have started whenever Lord Vishnu died. So that then started Kali Yuga, and what that is there's that 26,920 year cycle for the Earth to go fully through the zodiac, through all its stages. If you take half of that, it's 12,000 some odd years. That is then split up into 4 different yugas, which are time periods, of which Kali Yuga is one of those. So the calculation for that concept should always be done with the sidereal zodiac. Just that's the tradition that it came from. Because if you're applying a tropical zodiac to a Eastern concept, it's there's going to be a miscalculation there because they're 24 degrees off. So what we have moved into is if I remember off the top of my head, hold on one second, I can double check really quick. Yeah, the Dwapara Yuga, which is the Yuga that's coming after Kali Yuga. So what it is essentially we're at this place where the age of Pisces is ending. Pisces was where the Earth was for the last roughly you could say roughly 2,000 years or so, just to keep it easy. and now it's moving into Aquarius. So this is where you see like the precession of the equinox, because that 1 degree we shift every 72 years in the Vedic system. It's based off the appearance of fixed stars, like and the appearance of them moving backwards from our perspective on Earth. Because in astrology, we want to go based off of where we are on Earth, because we're trying to observe ourselves. So you have to look at something from the perspective of where you are, because that's how everything is coming to you. So it'll move, so we've then moved from like Pisces going into Aquarius. So this is that change that people are seeing in society, that it's moving away from systems of domination and control. Even the way like business is ran compared to like how it was ran 20 years ago has totally changed. Everybody uses technology now. It's a totally different thing, and you see this in society, that there's been this very rapid change, and the reality that we live in now is very different than the reality we would have grown up with when we were younger and things. So that's where that is happening, and it's something that it doesn't just happen instantly. It takes a period of time, hundreds of years sometimes, even for like these transitions to kind of go all the way from one to the other.
Interesting.
Yeah, I want to say something real quick too, because I find it interesting, because Aquarius is an air element, right? It's an air sign.
Yes.
And I look at Pisces, the system of control of the legalese system would be like maritime law, right? Which is water. Water.
Yeah, you could see that association. Yeah.
And now it's like we're going into Aquarius, the air, everything's going digital.
When you're on radio, you're on the air.
Yeah.
When you're broadcasting, you're on air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even like crypto, crypto is digital. So it's, you consider that air in the air.
And that's going to the moon.
Cloud.
So,
it's also gains and money, which Aquarius originally rules the 11th house of gains. So
even
it's
just
very
thinking
much
about
associated with that as well.
Interesting.
Especially with blockchain is incredibly Aquarian. It's that interconnected network of, unification and like trustless interaction of value and things like that. It doesn't get more Aquarian than blockchain tech.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's interesting to know that Aquarius, although it's primordial, it's mostly ruled by.
Hold on, it's kind of hard to hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting my fire going again. It's interesting to note that Aquarius is also, even though it's mostly ruled by Saturn, its co-ruler is Rahu. Which Rahu, like as I was speaking about earlier, he's the north node of the moon, but he's the trickster type of energy. But he's in the mythology, he's this floating head, because he got his head cut off right when he was about to drink the nectar of immortality. So his head and throat became this immortal floating head, but then it makes his speech immortal. He represents our desires, getting things very quickly in a clever way. So you could look at the internet very much as a Rahu type of thing. Even you're using illusion. For example, like we're, on a recording and, we're all chatting here, but we're in very different places. We're using that air element to communicate, and then it's being recorded, and then it'll get put out later. That's all Rahu.
Right. We're not actually in your living room or your office.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So John, do we want to dive into the Great Conjunction?
Yep.
Or did you have okay?
No, that's good.
The Great Conjunction. That one.
That's also in the Dark Crystal, right? They talk about
that's what that is.
Which is the third conjunction.
Agra impression right there.
Got it. That's
the old squatty lady that with the one eye and everything.
Yeah. Excellent. Perfect timing.
Yes.
So what is the Great Conjunction?
Yes. So a Great Conjunction is anytime Jupiter and Saturn come together. They're the two largest bodies outside of the sun in astrology. And they come together roughly every 20 years. But why this one is different is because they're coming within a degree of each other, both on longitude and latitude. So then they appear to be like one star, essentially, is what they appear to be like, or one planet. That the last time that happened was about 800 years ago. I think it was in 26. Which, if you look at the world during that time, the year before, the Magna Carta was adopted. Which the Magna Carta, Will, you're speaking about law. That's still something that most Western law is based off of to this day. And I believe the year after it, like Genghis Khan died. So that and we see what he did with his empire. So that whenever this is happening, there are major changes going on in the world. Big things are happening that are setting the tone for a long time to come.
Yeah, makes sense.
And in the Vedic system, this is happening in Capricorn, which is the sign that Saturn rules Capricorn, and it's a sign that it's all about hard work and discipline and getting focused and organized and having to do the hard work. Saturn's also cosmic law, natural law. It just is. It's the bringer of karmas. He's that teacher that like doesn't cut you slack because it's a slow moving planet. It puts pressure on us, and it takes a while to learn the lessons. But once you do have them, those are the lessons that you retain for a very long time. Because again, he's a slow moving planet. And then we have Jupiter here. Jupiter in the Vedic system, his name is the Guru. This is where the word Guru comes from, is Jupiter. He's the teacher. He represents abundance, expansion, wisdom. So we can see these forces very much at play in the world, like very intensely right now, is that there is this energy of Jupiter going on in the collective of it's wanting to expand. It's wanting to move into a better type of, people want to have a better type of life. People are more interested in spirituality and learning and, growing abundance in their life. But then there's like this pressure of Saturn that can, it feels like you could see the control system as an example of like misusing this energy. Not that Saturn is bad at all. So any of the Saturn is Satan, get that shit out of your head. But Saturn's just an honest teacher. But it does create that pressure. So it shows us that like you have to do the hard work. If you do want to develop this new world, you want to move into the age of Aquarius, you have to apply natural law. You have to do that hard work. You have to be disciplined and focused in your goal and not give up on it. And if you want the rewards of Jupiter. And whenever two planets move this close together, it creates what's known as a planetary war. Generally, an easy way to judge that, there's a few different techniques, but to keep it easy, is the planet that's larger or brighter will be the one that wins out that war. Okay, so Jupiter is larger than Saturn. He's also brighter, so he'll be the brighter one shining. So it's a very hopeful conjunction in the sense that like, yeah, we're going to have to do the work, like both as individuals and as a collective. But if we do that work, if we really start to understand cosmic law and apply it and integrate it into our lives, then we get that wisdom of Jupiter. We get the rewards. We expand our consciousness. We expand the abundance we're able to create, and we move into a more spiritually oriented type of society.
Yeah.
But if you don't work with that like type of energy, it's very easy to become crushed by it. And that's, I think, why we see this split in the human consciousness that we do. That like a lot of the normies that, ones that are under mind control, this year has shown that they will only go deeper and deeper into it. And it doesn't matter how many facts or figure or anything, you can show them absolute truth, like proven, and they would still choose to not believe it because they're demoralized. They've like lost that hope. So then they're kind of like trying to stick in the way of doing in that old system because they're afraid of that change.
Yeah.
And then you see the, others like, like ourselves that are very much accepting and like looking forward to that change and trying to learn and trying to expand. and it is a hard path. You know, it's a very hard thing to do, both on the individual level as well as try to get that message out to others. But if we do it, that reward of Jupiter is there.
Yeah. And you know, that's kind of what I've came down to. We're seeing this split in consciousness. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Saturn represents the root chakra and Jupiter's the crown.
You could look at it like that, yes, in some sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily, because you could look at like a general theme of that, but it also, you know, would depend on like the individual in their chart. Like when you're looking at a chart, you're actually looking at someone's like energetic astral body.
Yeah.
Would be a way to think of it. So everybody has their different energies in different places. But as far as a general energy, yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, gotcha. It's fascinating what you said about, you know, without this knowledge, you're almost, you can get the energies used against you. I just find it fascinating that we're coming into the so-called Great Reset, right? The New Age.
Yep.
There's a new system being in place. What I'm seeing and what I think is where it's going is that we're going to see kind of society split off into two different types of camps, right? The followers, the ones that are plugged into the matrix and are getting way more stagnant, and then the other half that is uplifting, going more internal, more spiritual, and going to detach from society and from the control system and fight back. So it's definitely this new a split is kind of how I'm interpreting it. So yeah, it's just fascinating. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And one thing we know is that, right, the social engineers, they know this knowledge very
Oh yeah.
well. You know, they're psychologists, and they've been planning this kind of stuff for many years. They can observe the sky clock and see when when the energies are going to align in their favor, and they're always going to pervert it and invert it, because the unconscious masses are not going to be aware on how to utilize or protect themselves and activate during those times, those energies that are coming in.
Yeah, that I love that you brought, even the phrase "the Great Reset." I mean, that's astrologically, if you wanted to describe what a great conjunction is, it's a big reset. Even with like the eclipse that we had today, in the Vedic system, that was an eclipse with K2, the south node of the moon, which is this headless body, and it was going on in the sign of Scorpio, which is all about transformation, bringing out, looking at the shadow, bringing out the hidden things, life and death, resetting things. So depending on the individual and what, where Scorpio is in their chart, that will show like what area of your life that's impacting for you. But in general, we see that energy going on in the collective, that a lot of shadow that has been in society is being revealed, and things are being transformed. And there's it definitely, we live at very interesting times, to say the least. But to have these two energies like going together, it very much, if you were to want to describe like the eclipse and the great conjunction together, a great reset would be a very good kind of phrase to explain energetically what's going on.
Yeah.
So they're more than aware of this stuff, and that's why us becoming aware of it and realizing like that, how deep of a science it really is to me one of the most essential practices that we'd be using. That's one of the reasons I've started developing a course to teach others as well. Because without that knowledge, it, like you said, it can be used against you. And when you see these things coming, that gives you the chance to work with it. So you can amplify your effect. It's like, you imagine like a surfer or something, and they know how to read a wave. They can wait for the right wave. But if you don't know what you're looking at, it's very easy to drown yourself. So that knowledge, that awareness creates a choice. And the more awareness we have, the more choices we have in order to create that outcome that we really do want. So if we want to create a better world, you know, observing what is going on in the mind of the all and the larger cycles, and then observing how that's working with us as individuals too, that gives us the chance to align with cosmic law in uh, a lot more effective way.
Transmute that shit.
Mhm.
That's great.
So, how can people boost their spiritual immunity?
So yeah, for this one, for me personally, uh, it's very simple things: breath work, getting enough sleep, nutrition, and herbs and supplements and things like that. Having proper knowledge and the confidence that's a natural byproduct of that. It's very simple. Of course, energy work, casting your circle, working and Galdering with the runes. But notice everything that I'm saying it's just simple self-empowerment. It's nothing fancy. It's just things that you have control over that you can do consistently, and it's just overall to like charging up your power basically, and your ability to tap in to that
Mhm.
cosmic intelligence.
Yeah, I like how you put that it's all about self empowerment. And for me, like a good place to start for me is with my, if I ever want to design ritual or do something like that, I start with my chart, because it's going to show you your energetic needs and like where strengths are and where weaknesses are, and then you can go and create a ritual specifically that's like energetically designed just for you.
Mhm.
That's one of the things I do for clients, um, because knowing where you need the work or where you could use help, and then having different techniques, it's just like having different tools in your toolbox, uh, and being able to select the right tool for the right job and at the right time, helps you get effective. And like I said, it doesn't matter necessarily what tool you're using so much as it's something that works for you. But like Logan said, casting your circle, doing breath work. Those are really big ones that I've definitely found in my practice
Right.
have been very helpful.
As a
Um,
matter of fact, as a side note, we actually created a free little mini course, so we could put the link down in the description for that if anybody's interested, teaching you actual like how to cast your circle and do some simple things that you can incorporate.
mhm.
Yeah. Powerful stuff, right? I mean, ritual is in spiritual.
Yes.
So it's, it
Mhm.
is it's energy work, and that's why we kind of wanted to bring up spiritual immunity, because with everything that's going on right now, it's, with Aries air making, they want people to wear a mask, cut off your breath, stay in
Mhm.
your house, don't go outside and soak up from the sun, right? The creator of this planet, or the provider of the planet. um so all these little things are working against your spiritual or energetic immune system. So if you're not doing anything to um to protect yourself, charge yourself, and get your energy moving, then you're getting more into a stagnant place. And that's why astrology kind of goes hand in hand with ritual and energy work. Is you have the map, and now you just have to do it. It's just about the action.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna highly recommend people check out your guys' website, because just the little bit that I've watched so far, I'm only like halfway through the second video on the breathing, but that breathing technique is amazing. I mean, just doing it a little bit, I was like feeling it, and it's really awesome that you guys offer that teaching to people, because it's really practical, easy to apply in your everyday life. And I'm definitely interested in getting that reading done for sure.
Nice.
But anyway, why don't you guys tell us on your upcoming goals and what's going on currently with the Wizard Factory?
Oh, are we skipping the ritual question? Because we did like protection, but then there was a separate ritual
Oh,
question,
okay.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no. let's
What
definitely.
is ritual, and why is ritual important?
Yeah, we actually did a really, a really cool episode on this on our podcast, because the truth is everybody has rituals. The real question is, are they being conscious of it and choosing and even questioning what those rituals are doing for them and how they're creating their reality? So for me, the simple definition of how I look at what a ritual is it's just a consistent habit that is used as a tool for developing consciousness, which then creates your reality. This is always happening at all times for every single person, whether they realize it or not. So only when they become aware and start putting their intention into it do they step into their own power with this. So essentially, it's specifically used to reprogram your subconscious mind through repetition, rote learning, and a way to different ways to basically connect with reality and with yourself.
Mm, yeah,
Yep.
perfect.
It can invoke a lot of things, though. There's many different uses for it, other than just like I glued some pictures on a poster board and now I'm going to get all those things, right? I stuck a stack of money in a Lambo so I get the stuff, right? It's not like that, but it's more like you can set an intention such as healing, or yes, abundance, or transmutation. It's a really good way to bring suppressed emotions to the surface so that you can
Mhm.
more like actually deal and process with them, just things like that. And it's really all about you and your intentions. What are you trying to achieve out of it?
Oh, I,
Yeah.
I thought you were saying we're going to get rich, you all. No, just kidding.
Mm. Nothing wrong with that,
You
but
you said a couple really important parts. Making the unconscious conscious. You're right. Everyone has ritual. It's your habits.
hmm
And
is it a six
just
pack and some Netflix, or something more productive?
Mhm.
absolutely, yeah, for sure. Your ritual starts right when you wake up, right, all the way till when you go
hmm
to bed. So a good place to start is obviously going to the Wizard Factory and checking out their free initiation package, but also getting to a place of being the observer, right? There's you can do the magic journal where you actually just write down your daily habits so you can kind of see them on paper and you become more aware of
Yes.
them. That's a good place to start because you have to first draw your attention to it and then apply change. So,
Ah,
Mm.
yeah. Awareness creates choice.
got
Yep.
it.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Good stuff.
Rudolf Steiner has a activity where you meditate at night and you review your day backwards. So,
Mm.
but another
Hmm.
one that you inspired me, Logan, in one of the episodes, you talked about cleaning as a ritual.
Yeah,
And I totally was like, today, I was like, I got to do that, and just started like picking up around the
absolutely.
house. And, it's funny cleaning because as you start doing it, it's just, okay, get up. Don't think about it. Just go start doing something. And then you find another thing. And then it just,
hmm
the process actually becomes fun as you see
Right.
progress happening. But as soon as you stop, then you'll have like a halfway clean house, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Cleaning definitely has a very therapeutic effect for me. And I think really what it comes down to is that it gives your brain just enough to do to keep it occupied from the incessant chatter and stress and worry and all that, but still leaving lots of space to think and to just get into the flow. Really keyword flow right there. So
Yeah.
like it's a great way to start your day, even because you're being productive, and then you feel good about being productive because now you get to operate and conduct your day in a clean house, in a clean, fresh environment, and that just perpetuates. You just ride that wave on through the day.
Yeah. Excellent. For sure, man.
Yeah,
I'm a
definitely.
cleaning wizard myself.
So yeah, let's let us know what's going on with the Wizard Factory, upcoming projects.
So yeah, lots we're really excited about. First off the bat, our Patreon is finally fully launched and operational. We've got some super cool exclusive content and different features up on there. 2 different tiers, so very, depending on where you're at financially, is something for everybody. For those of you who are new to us, we're also going to be branching out, putting out more content on platforms like Facebook, doing a little live riffs, even Q&As and things like that, as well as starting to launch other types of shorter segments on our channel and seeing, it's just a different flavor when you're clicking on a 10-minute video as opposed to an hour video. And it's a lot more shareable and that kind of thing. So just kind of mixing it up with that, like I said, we're really kind of giving everything a facelift and streamlining it, and things are going really good and we're super excited about it. And then Brian has some other stuff he's want to announce too.
Yes, I've been, working on a Vedic, my first Vedic astrology course. So this course will be, essentially like laying the foundations for starting to practice Vedic astrology, going into in depth into the philosophy behind it, the history behind it, why the Vedic system is different than the tropical system, and getting really in depth to that, as well as I've added in a whole cosmic law section that is specifically showing, like, literally principle by principle. I'm going to be breaking down how we observe those in astrology in a chart, and then showing people how to read a chart. So that'll be a little weekend webinar course with like a follow-up Q&A the next weekend. That will probably be happening sometime the beginning of January, somewhere in there. I was still going to set an exact date. But yeah, that will be coming up very soon. But everybody will be able to find that on our on the website, thewizardfactory.com.
Yep. So yeah, as well as just check out the podcast, check out our website, and get that initiation package.
Yeah,
absolutely. You guys offer phenomenal tools, man, and the tagline, be encouraged, be inspired, and I'm forgetting the third one.
Be empowered, inspired, and encouraged.
Thank you, sir. Yes. So that's awesome. Yeah, everybody check out the website, man. Appreciate it.
And
thanks so much for having us.
If I want to get the reading done, I just email you guys.
It's all on the website. I've made everything fully functional, so you can purchase anything right from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
I just told Brian and Logan earlier. I said, "Yo, I'm ready for that chart, man."
Yeah, now I'm ready to dig into it. I always love looking at more charts, so it is my passion.
And our most popular consultation service is actually the Reflections bundle, because you're going to get a full-on Vedic astrology consultation, a 9-world rune reading from both of us in a joint session, and then a adaptive personal pathwork type consultation with me, all like at a discounted price. So that's by far the most popular one as well. Best bang for your buck.
Excellent. For
Awesome.
sure.
Hey man, are you still driving trucks?
No, sir. I've actually been off of that since the end of last year. It's been a year now I've been off the road, and I still think about it sometimes, and I really loved it, but I'm happy to be able to, cook meals in my own kitchen and go to the bathroom anytime I want and not, have to wait.
Yeah.
It's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was when I watched the first episode, I'm like, what's this guy sitting in? He's like some kind of like cockpit or something. Like it had a cool look to it though.
Yeah.
My old Peterbilt. Yep.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
Right on. Well,
thanks for having us. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Good talk.
Yeah, Brian and Logan, thank you guys, man. Appreciate you, brothers.
Yeah, it was great to have you guys.
Thank you.
Always remember, put something good in the air and plant something good in the earth.
Oh,
Peace.
yeah.
Gia.